Hello, I'm Gwendolyn Kiste, and I am so excited to be here virtually. I wish I could be there in person, but alas, I hope that everyone is having a good time. I am sure you all are. And thank you so much to Karina for putting together this amazing event and for inviting me to be part of it. So I'm going to read a couple flash fiction pieces for you, both of them horror, a little bit fairy tale, a little bit dark fantasy. So the first one I'm going to read is called In the Belly of the Wolf, and it was first published in Kaleidotrope. Close your eyes, but remember, the wolf hides best in the darkness. Your family warned you long ago. A young man should never walk unattended in the woods, especially at night, when the full moon flashes like a faded coin. The silvery evening spins wicked promises it can't keep. It conjures magic, like a gleaming figure, her body halfway between woman and wolf. Are you lost, sir? She smiled at you, broad and savage, and never were you so certain you were exactly where you belonged. In the mountains, bitter as heartbreak, she howled for you, and you answered. We're all born wild, she whispered, as you curled with her on verdant hills that sloped like breasts beneath your bodies. Soon she swelled with your love, and you daydreamed of a life together. But your family discovered your secret. They condemned you, pelted you with words and whips, and told you what you must do. You must be a good son. You must do the right thing. After all, a man cannot marry a wolf, no matter how well the daylight hides her wildness. Tonight you find her in the forest, waiting for you, her belly round and smooth as marble. You're late, she says, and you kiss her, the taste of sweet stars on her lips. The baby kicks beneath her pelt, and you want to stay with her. But this is not to be. The knife trembles behind your back, and the last thing you see as the curved blade sinks into her womb is the grief in her eyes, more potent than monkshood. Hands red with shame, you wrench the child from her and cut the last tether that binds you to the wolf. Try not to scream in agony as it snaps. When you're done, her insides will be cavernous and wanting, and you might feel obliged to give her something in return, a trade of sorts. You have several options. Fill her with sweetmeats, still glistening red. Fill her with rocks as heavy as regret. Fill her with nothing at all. Remember, she is a wolf. She's lucky you don't slit her throat, and you're lucky she doesn't rip out yours. You should, finish her, but instead you run, faster now. In your arms the child does not cry. She only stares at you, her eyes like fragile ice, soft and accusing. Halfway home, dip her pink body in the murmuring brook and rinse the placenta from between her fingers and toes. Banish every trace of the mother who would have loved her, and would have loved you too, if only the moon had allowed it. With your heart in your boots, return to your cottage with the child. Remind yourself, this is for her own good. She deserves better than a feral beast of a mother. But she also deserves better than you. Your family, pleased with your betrayal, welcome you across the threshold. You've done well, our son, they say, but you do not feel well. You fear you'll never feel well again. At night, as the baby babbles in her crib, you sit at the fireplace strung with dried amaranth and silver buttons, silly wards that will repel nothing when the wolf comes calling. And she will come calling. Already you hear her, those distant howls once meant for you, howls that remind you of green hills and sweet stars and a belly full of longing. Close your eyes and pretend not to sob. Overnight your daughter blossoms, but not in the way you hoped. Do your best to tame her. Comb the tangle of briars atop her crown and file her dagger-sharp teeth into a respectable shape. You don't want your kin to see the wild that lives in her, like a wall of ivy, untamed and ever-growing. Besides, there's already enough tempest here. The wolf circles closer now. In the evening, her silken pelt rustles against the fastened shutters. The moon is not full, but that no longer matters. No lunar cycle can temper her rage. Before dawn, her sweet lullaby beckons you, and you swallow the howl that bubbles up your throat like grog in a Yule kettle. You want to go to her, to love her, to beg for forgiveness, but you know it's too late for sorry. Their faces gray as steel, your family set snares around the cottage, desperate for relief and for a hide to drape from the mantle. To keep the child from the cold, they say, and their mere suggestion prickles your flesh. You can imagine nothing crueler than the skin of her own mother warming your daughter on a winter's eve. But the wolf is too clever for your simple-minded stock. One by one the snares snap, but it's never her body you discover in the morning. You become good at moving earth as the funerals of your mother, your father, your brothers and sisters become as regular as Sunday Mass. At each burial, close your eyes and this time pretend to sob. Pretend you are despondent even though you are not, even though you are secretly relieved that she lives and your family does not. The wolf leaves you for last. You aren't sure if this is punishment or mercy. Tonight you'll find her in the forest, waiting for you. Go to her now. There is nothing left to stop you. Just don't expect forgiveness. Instead, expect only what you deserve. When she materializes in the shadows, tip back your head and cry out. Don't worry if the melody from your lips is more monster than mortal. You were born wild. We all are. As she closes in, offer her the daughter you stole, the daughter who pirouettes in the moonlight as if it's her own kin. And in the devouring darkness, walk to the wolf who will never stop loving, never stop circling, never stop howling at the silvery moon, her belly empty as the universe. All right, so that was the first story, and there was just a cut there because I'm about to read my flash fiction piece, The 12 Rules of Etiquette in Miss Firebird's School for Girls, and the first time I did it, I missed one of the rules of etiquette. So we're going to do it again with all the rules. So this one was first published in Mathila Review a few years ago. Miss Firebird's School for Girls is committed to the re-education of young women who have gone astray. In keeping with this pledge, we ask for those in attendance to obey the following rules of etiquette, all of which we've developed based on the misbehavior of former students. It is our hope that with proper decorum, each of our girls will go on to live a normal and satisfying life. 1. When packing for your first day at our school, keep your luggage to a minimum, and remember that all mortars and pestles of any shape or size are strictly forbidden. Upon your arrival, do not be tricky and offer to sweep the hallways or dormitory rooms. All brooms on the premises have long ago been burned. 2. Do not become alarmed when crows, sometimes numbering in the thousands, descend suddenly on the school. This is a normal occasion at the beginning of every semester. Like most harbingers of evil, if you ignore them, they shall go away. Under no circumstance should you feed the creatures or tether one as a so-called familiar. This is a heinous breach of basic propriety. Good girls simply do not keep carrion birds as pets. 3. Wear your blue plaid skirt and tucked in white shirt at all times. Never accessorize with velvet cloaks or shawls. Such apparel items serve as gateways to the dark arts, and Miss Firebird School for Girls will abide no hellmouths. Thank you very much. 4. The start of the school year is always an exceedingly hectic time for us. Your classroom is likely to be packed, and you might be tempted to meet and socialize with the other girls in your cohort. Resist this urge, and stay on your own. In the past, girls have flagrantly disrespected our efforts and attempted to form sisterhoods of magic. It never ends well. Spare yourself the pain and trust none of your fellow students. They are just as lost as you are. 5. Please use only ordinary lamps in the dormitories. No hollowed-out skull lanterns will be tolerated. If we find you in possession of such paraphernalia, we will immediately discard the offending material. Also, do not disclose details of how you came into ownership of said skull. It's indecent, and we don't want to hear about it. 6. Sometimes a student will not respond to the lessons in her classroom, and she must be sequestered for a week or two. When she returns, do not stare at the marks on her arms. Keep in mind, some varieties of evil are harder to vanquish than others. 7. Lunch is served each day at noon, and we offer vegetarian fare only. Do not complain about the lack of boiled hearts on the menu or how you'd like chicken legs so you can build a house propped up on bones. And to answer your inevitable question, no, you are not permitted to help in the kitchen. We've lost enough staff to oven accidents already. 8. During full moons, all students must remain in their rooms with lights out and curtains securely closed. Do not inquire why. Proper young ladies don't ask unnecessary questions. 9. Midway through the semester, you might notice a sudden increase of empty desks in your classroom. Make no comment about this unexpected attrition. Not every student in Miss Firebird's School for Girls is as upstanding and devoted to rehabilitation as you. 10. At absolutely no time is it permissible for a student to fly. This is a blatant disregard of manners, in particular if you skip class to partake in such outrageous shenanigans. If you learn to fly prior to your enrollment at our school and feel the overwhelming urge to take to the air, please notify the headmistress immediately and we will do our best to unteach this verboten skill. 11. Do not offer advice. Someone in the past might have called you wise. That person was wrong. 12. At the end of the semester, you might awaken one evening during a full moon. Ignore the flutter of crow wings against the glass and the laughter that sounds familiar. No matter how certain you are, these are not the giggles of the students who vanished. It is only the dog howl of the wind. Simply return to sleep promptly, and all will be right again in the morning. If you cannot sleep, then please heed the following advice. Do not retreat to your closet and dig out your skull lantern you've been hiding all semester. Do not dig out your velvet shawl either. Do not open your eyes, and do not open your window. Do not let your feet levitate off the floor, and do not under any circumstance listen to the cloaked girls floating by outside. They might whisper your name and ask you to follow. They might call it freedom. Remember, they are not wise. They are not your family. We are your family. Stay with us. Please, girls, stay with us. Thank you so much, and I hope the rest of the evening is absolutely amazing, and thank you again to Karina, and happy Women in Horror Month.